She said I wasn't fun anymore and walked out to find herself. So I quietly let her go, built a life she'd never belong in, and watched her realize too late what freedom truly costs. I'm 42, a man who has built his life on logic, data, and predictable patterns. My name is Peter, and for as long as I can remember, I've found peace in structure and stability. My wife, Kelly, who is 38, used to say she found that stability comforting too. For 15 long years, she called me her rock, the person who kept everything steady while she drifted from one passion to another. I thought we were a perfect balance. I provided the foundation and she brought the color. Together, I believed we were building something strong and lasting. For years, I watched her chase dreams that changed with every new season. First, it was a pottery business that consumed money faster than it could earn it. Then, she became a part-time yoga instructor, talking about energy flow and balance while I worked overtime to keep the mortgage paid and the bills covered. I managed our finances, handled the health insurance, and planned for our future because that's what I thought a partner was supposed to do. I built the ship, and she was supposed to be the sail guiding it forward. But one evening, that sail decided the ship was a cage. Kelly sat me down in our living room, the one she'd paid thousands to have professionally redecorated in soft, neutral tones, and she couldn't even look me in the eye. Her focus stayed fixed on a decorative vase that cost more than my first car. Peter, she began in that calm, measured voice she always used when delivering bad news. I need some space. I feel like I'm losing myself. I didn't respond right away. I've learned that in conversations like these, the first person to speak is usually the one who loses control. She continued, "You're a good man, a wonderful provider, but you're not fun anymore. We're not fun anymore. Everything is so planned, so safe. I need to feel alive again." I sat there in silence, my eyes fixed on the wooden beam she'd insisted we install over the media center, a completely decorative feature that had cost me my entire annual bonus. It stood there as a symbol of everything she valued more than logic or purpose. And as I looked at it, something inside me didn't break. It hardened. Suddenly, the random clues I'd been ignoring began to line up perfectly. The late-night giggles over her phone, the new designer workout clothes, the mysterious spiritual guru named Zachary who somehow became her tennis partner and life mentor. The pattern was clear, and as a data analyst, I know what to do when the data speaks. The conclusion was obvious and devastating. I looked at her, really looked at her. The $200 leggings, the manicured nails, and the empty space where her wedding ring used to sit because, as she'd said, it interfered with her energy flow. She expected me to beg, to promise that I'd change, to book some expensive trip to Bali to reignite the spark. Instead, I said one word: done. The word hit the room like a stone dropped into still water. Her expression shifted from triumph to confusion. Done? Just like that? You're not even going to fight for us? I met her eyes calmly. You just told me you want a trial separation. I'm agreeing to your terms. She blinked, caught off guard. Well, yes, but, I didn't expect you to just accept it. You said you need space, I replied, my voice steady. Now you have it. She stood there, speechless, for a moment before muttering something about packing her things. She went upstairs, and I sat there listening to the sounds of drawers opening and closing, the sound of a life being dismantled one piece at a time. For a moment, rage flared inside me. I wanted to smash that expensive vase into the wall. But then sadness took its place. A heavy, crushing wave of grief for the girl I'd once married. The one who used to eat pizza with me on the bare floor of our first apartment because we couldn't afford furniture. I let the emotions come, then let them go. What remained was cold, clear logic. This wasn't a trial separation. This was an ambush. But I wouldn't be its victim. That night, I made my first move. I didn't call a friend, and I didn't go to a bar. I called a lawyer. Her name was Victoria, a family law attorney with a reputation for precision and strategy. I left a message explaining my situation, and within 30 minutes, I had an email confirming a consultation for the next morning. When I sat in her office the next day, she listened quietly as I explained everything. Then, in a calm, steady voice, she said, Peter, the moment of separation is a legal event. From this point forward, every action you take must be transparent and defensible. So, I spent the rest of that Friday taking careful, methodical steps. First, I opened my own bank account. I didn't drain our joint account. That could be considered financial abuse, but I left $4,000 in it to serve as a buffer while transferring the rest of my savings to my new account. I updated my payroll to ensure all future deposits went there too. Then, I documented every step. Next came the credit cards. I was the primary holder. She was the supplementary user. I called the company, explained the legal separation, and had her card canceled. I took full responsibility for the outstanding $8,000 balance. Clean and simple. Then I handled the insurance. I logged into my HR portal, updated my marital status, and that triggered the system to remove Kelly from my health plan at the end of the month. It was June 15th. She had 15 days left of coverage. I knew her prescription for migraines cost over $600 without insurance, and that fact alone would eventually hit her hard. When she came by the next day to pick up more of her things, she acted casual, almost giddy. "Hope you're not too lonely in this big old house," she said, her tone light and patronizing.
"I'm managing," he replied calmly.
"By the way, I've started the formal separation process. You'll probably want to contact a lawyer." She laughed. "Oh, Peter, don't be so dramatic. It's just a trial. We'll talk in a few weeks." I just nodded. She had no idea that her new adventure was about to get very real, very fast. 5 days later, the first crack in Kelly's new life appeared. It started with a text that arrived early on a Wednesday morning. Her message was breezy at first, the way someone writes when they're pretending everything is fine. "Hey, this is so weird. My card got declined at Lululemon. The girl at the counter was so rude about it. Can you call them? I think their system's down." I stared at the screen for a long moment before typing a short, precise reply. "No system error, Kelly. I canceled your supplementary card last week. We're separated. Our finances are separate now, too." The typing dots appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. Finally, her next message arrived in a burst of outrage. "You did what? Peter, I needed that outfit. How could you do that without talking to me?" I replied calmly. "I did talk to you. I told you I was starting the legal process. This is part of it. You can use the debit card for now." I could almost picture her standing there in the middle of that store, her face turning red as she checked the joint account, and realized that the endless stream of money she'd relied on had slowed to a trickle. The $4,000 I'd left there bought me time, enough to avoid claims of neglect, but not enough to fund her shopping sprees or spiritual retreats. For the first time in years, Kelly was confronted with a concept she'd avoided her entire life: consequence. The real earthquake, however, arrived that weekend. My doorbell rang early Saturday morning, and when I opened the door, I found Kelly standing there, and beside her, her mother, Joyce. Joyce was a woman who believed her daughter's whims were divine law and that my sole purpose on earth was to make them reality. She stormed into my foyer without waiting for an invitation. "Peter," she barked, "you owe my daughter an explanation. You canceled her credit card. Are you trying to humiliate her?" Kelly crossed her arms, standing behind her mother, her face twisted with righteous indignation. "You've taken this too far," she snapped. I stood still, calm, composed, and utterly detached. "I'm establishing financial boundaries, Joyce. That's standard procedure in a legal separation." Kelly's voice rose, sharp and emotional. "Standard procedure? This isn't some business merger, Peter. This is my life. You're trying to control me, punish me for wanting more than this boring, predictable life." I met her eyes with cold clarity. "I'm not punishing you, Kelly. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. You wanted a different life, one that didn't involve me or my stability. Now you're living it. The predictable life you found so dull is also the life that paid for everything." I let that sink in before continuing. "And since we're discussing logistics, there's something you should know. I've informed my employer of our separation. Your health, dental, and vision insurance will end in 10 days. You'll receive a Cobra packet explaining how you can continue coverage at your own expense. Her face went pale. Joyce looked confused. What does that mean? She demanded. Kelly whispered, her voice breaking. My migraine prescription. It's over $600 a month without insurance. That's correct, I said quietly. So you'll need to budget for it. Cobra coverage will be around $900 a month. Joyce gasped, her hand flying to her chest. That's cruel, Peter. You can't do that to her. She has a medical condition. She's a 38-year-old woman who chose separation, I replied calmly. This is simply the financial reality that comes with that choice. It's not cruel. It's consequence. Kelly's eyes filled with angry tears. This isn't you, Peter. You're being heartless. I don't even recognize you anymore. I nodded slightly. That's because the man you married would've let you walk all over him. That man's gone. She grabbed her mother's arm, spun around, and stormed out without another word. The door slammed behind them, the echo lingering in the quiet house. I stood there, listening to the silence. It was the sound of peace and the beginning of war. 2 weeks later, the legal battle officially began. Kelly's lawyer sent a letter that read like a work of fiction, painting me as a cruel, manipulative husband who had cut off his emotionally fragile wife in a fit of punitive rage. They demanded immediate financial support, payment for her legal fees, and long-term spousal support. I forwarded the letter to Victoria, who barely raised an eyebrow. Standard shock and awe tactic, she said coolly over the phone. They want you to panic and settle. We'll respond with facts. And we did. Victoria's response was calm, precise, and devastatingly professional. We stated that Kelly had voluntarily abandoned the marital home and that I'd taken all actions under legal counsel. We declined every financial demand. But that wasn't all. I'd taken the initiative to hire a private investigator. It wasn't cheap. 3 days of surveillance cost a small fortune, but the results were worth every penny. The PI's report came with time-stamped photos of Kelly and her guru, Zachary, entering and leaving his apartment on multiple occasions, along with clear evidence of their romantic relationship. We attached the report, and even a screenshot of Zachary's late-night text messages, to our legal response. But Victoria didn't stop there. She filed for discovery, alleging dissipation of marital assets. We claimed Kelly had used my income to fund her affair, and we subpoenaed both her bank records and Zachary's. We wanted to see exactly how much of my money had been spent on his dinners, gifts, and getaways. The reaction was immediate and explosive. A week later, I received a call from a blocked number. It was Zachary. His enlightened guru tone was gone, replaced by sheer panic. Peter, man, I think there's been a misunderstanding, he stammered. I don't think there's any misunderstanding at all, I replied coldly. This is crazy. Your lawyer's subpoenaing me. I'm just a tennis coach. I don't want to be dragged into this. It's gonna ruin my reputation. Your reputation is your problem, I said flatly. My finances are mine. Kelly used my money to fund your relationship. That's fraud. You're a material witness now. You can either cooperate or explain it to a judge. He went silent, then finally whispered, She said you guys were over, that it was just a matter of time. Then you'll have no problem stating that under oath, I said, and hang up. From that moment, everything began to crumble. Kelly and her mother left dozens of voicemails, swinging wildly between rage and desperation. One message would be her screaming that I destroyed her life. The next would be her sobbing that she missed me. But the truth was, she didn't miss me. She missed the stability I represented, the security blanket she tossed aside without thinking about the cold that would follow. Months passed, and the legal process ground forward like a relentless machine. Then one afternoon, Victoria called with final news. It's over, she said simply. The divorce is final. It had taken 8 grueling months. A blur of paperwork, depositions, and silence. There was no dramatic courtroom showdown, no final speech. It ended quietly as most collapses do. Zachary, faced with the threat of having his finances publicly exposed, crumbled. He signed a full affidavit confirming the affair had begun long before the separation. In exchange, he was released from further proceedings. Kelly's leverage vanished overnight. The settlement was brutal for her. The house was sold, the equity split. My half became the down payment on a comfortable condo. Her half was a one-time payment, the last she'll ever get from me. The judge granted her only 2 years of minimal rehabilitative alimony, barely enough to cover rent while she finds a full-time job. We also won the claim of dissipation of assets. The court agreed she'd spent over $15,000 of my income on her affair. That amount was deducted from her settlement and awarded to me. In the end, she paid me back for financing her own betrayal. Today, Kelly rents a small apartment and works as an office manager for a landscaping company. Her social media is full of generic inspirational quotes about growth and healing. Zachary, from what I've heard, lost clients and credibility. Joyce now has a daughter who's emotionally and financially dependent once again. As for me, I'm healing slowly, quietly, and intentionally. My new condo is peaceful. It's filled with books, soft music, and the smell of fresh coffee brewed every morning from the complicated German machine Kelly used to call hideous. It makes the perfect cup. That small, predictable joy feels more fulfilling than anything I've experienced in years. Sometimes, I hike alone on weekends, breathing in the crisp air, watching the sunlight spill across the valley below. Standing on those ridges, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Not excitement, not revenge, but freedom. The rock she once took for granted has stopped anchoring her ship. It now stands alone, solid, unshaken, and finally at peace.